Let me describe a moment, and you tell me if you've lived it. You're in a room full of people. Someone says something you know is wrong. Not maybe wrong. Wrong. You feel the words rising in your throat. And then you look around, see every head nodding, and you swallow them. On the drive home, you replay it, and something in your chest feels smaller. That feeling has a name. You surrendered your center. In the 1950s, a psychologist named Solomon Asch ran one of the most famous experiments ever done on the male mind. He sat young men in a group and gave them a task a child couldn't fail. Look at a line on a card, then say which of three other lines matches its length. The answer was obvious every single time. But there was a trick. Only one man in the room was a real subject. Everyone else was an actor, planted to give the same wrong answer, out loud, with straight faces, one after another. Then it came to the real man, sitting there with the evidence of his own eyes on one side and a unanimous room on the other. Here's what happened, and it should unsettle you. About 3/4 of the men denied their own eyes at least once and went along with the group. Not on a hard question, on the length of a line. Some doubted their vision. Some knew the room was wrong and folded anyway, because disagreeing out loud felt worse than lying. These weren't weak men. They were ordinary men, which means they were us. So let's say the uncomfortable truth plainly. The pressure of a room can bend what a man says, and if he lets it, what he eventually believes. And the modern world has turned that pressure up to levels Asch never imagined. You don't face one room now. You face a feed of 10,000 nodding heads, all day, every day, tallying your every opinion in public. But the Asch experiment had a second finding, and it's the hopeful one. When just one other person in the room told the truth, everything changed. With a single honest ally, the real subjects folded far less. One voice broke the spell. Remember that, because it means your honesty is never just about you. Every time you hold your center, you make it easier for some other man in the room to hold his. Now, what does holding your center actually mean? Get the definition right, because the counterfeit is everywhere. Holding your center doesn't mean being contrarian. Reflexively disagreeing with the crowd is still letting the crowd steer you. They turn left, you turn right, but they're still driving. A man with a center owes the room nothing, in either direction. He simply refuses to be owned by it. Holding your center means three things. You know what you actually think, because you've done the private work of thinking it. You can say it calmly, without needing the room to agree. And you can update it when the evidence is real, without folding just because the pressure is loud. Notice that last part. The man who argued against himself updates for evidence. The man in the Asch room folded for comfort. From the outside, those look similar. From the inside, they're opposites. And there's a discipline to it you can practice this week. First, decide before you enter the room. Most men get bent because they walk in undecided and let the room decide for them. Write your position down beforehand. Even one sentence. It's much harder to abandon a stake you've planted. Second, when you disagree, lower your voice instead of raising it. A calm sentence lands harder than a heated speech, and calm is what tells the room you don't need its permission. Third, use the smallest, honest sentence. You don't owe anyone a lecture. Try, "I see it differently. And here's why." That's enough to plant a flag. Understand what's at stake if you don't build this. A man who bends in every room eventually forgets his own shape. He becomes a mirror. Agreeable everywhere, trusted nowhere. Because everyone can sense there's nobody home. His wife can't lean on him because he sways. His kids can't learn from him because he echoes. His boss promotes the man whose yes actually means something. And here's the quiet reward on the other side. The man who holds his center becomes rare in a way people can feel. When he agrees, it means something, because everyone knows he doesn't have to. When he speaks, the room turns, because his words weren't focus grouped for applause. He may be the quietest man at the table, and still the one they check with when it matters. So this week, the moment will come. A room, a nodding crowd, and that truth rising in your throat. That moment is the whole test. Say the small, honest sentence. Be the one voice that breaks the spell. Hold your center, and watch who else in the room suddenly finds theirs.